All right, you loyal listeners. Welcome to Agency Intelligence, where I give you real agent inside real agency, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass, and he's back with Hanley. You guys know instantly. Hanley, when I look at the top, I would say, I'm making this up, loyal listeners, but I'm pretty damn close. If I look at the top 10 or let's say 20 podcasts of all time on agency intelligence, like you see Cass and Hanley, like the thing, Cass and Hanley, you see that shit. I would say at least 5 to 6 or 7 times the most popular podcast. And people say they love it when we get together because it's like a general conversation. Now, I don't know about you when you hear people say that, like, I feel as if I'm doing that with everybody, right? I'm having a conversation, but I guess there's something between you and I's goofy ass.
Well, I think I think a big part of it is that we have history, right? Like both of us have now officially been in the industry for a very long time. There was a time when that wasn't the case, right? We knew each other when we were both rookie, young guys saying crazy stuff. And now I think part of it is, and I'd like to believe this is true. I don't know. The audience can let us know. I think that we both have gone through I really like where both of us are in the maturation of our careers as content creators. I feel like we've gone through this natural evolution of like coming in, just saying all kinds of stuff. Half of it was half baked, half cocked, whatever. Like we didn't really know what the hell we were talking about. We were just talking and sharing. And then we went into and then you get the pushback from the industry. So then we kind of went into that phase where it's like, fuck everybody, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like us against the world. Right. And then you kind of morph out of that into like, okay, I kind of understand why things are here. You get more perspective on what needs to stay, what needs to go, what just needs innovation. You know what I mean? You get this like broader perspective. And I really think that, this is my 17th year in the industry. I know you're a couple more years than me, but like that 17 years, right, gives you a lot of perspective on what's happening. And I think that that allows us to be both bold, but bold with some foundation to it, not just saying crazy shit shooting from the hip anymore. It's more like, here's based on our experience. We both kind of push the envelope, but here's what we actually believe, what we see. And I think that hopefully for the audience adds more value. And I've really enjoyed that these last few years. I feel like when I'm not going on a political rant, which I'm trying not to do as much, I feel like being able to deliver a lot more value.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you just said. And it also is that the industry has changed galore. I mean, Hanley, dude, in 2012, we're speaking on stage. I mean, we've been speaking on stage for 2 years now, okay? So it's 2010, 2011, 2012. And we are telling them, though, whether we were wrong or right, we are telling them, in 10 years, things are going to be dramatically different. Remember, we always timed it out like in 10 years, And it was like, I mean, I didn't even picture it. I just knew it would be different, right? And we have to admit, God, the last 10 years, I bet you we have changed as an industry more than the prior 30.
Yeah.
It's really been impressive. And I will say this, because I tried not to, but enough people tell me that I do feel that I was part of those first 20. I was part of those Brett Kelly, the Jason Casses, the Ryan Hanleys, that really, loyal listeners, you may not know this, and the article's still out there on Insurance Journal. We used to get beat up in the comments and reviews, right? Before Facebook and all that shit, that's where you did all your commenting, was on like if Insurance Journal released an article, Hanley and I would comment at the bottom of it, and dude, Hanley, we used to get jumped. Like these people were like, you guys are immature. You're a disgrace to independent agents. And we're like, dude, all we're trying to do is reach a customer in a new way, right? Remember how crazy that shit was?
Dude, I used to write articles for Property Casualty 360. So I used to be a contributing author to that. And I would post something on, we're talking just basic tactical digital marketing stuff, like how to create a blog post, simple things like that. And it'd be like, this is a waste of time. I don't want my producers reading this. They're going to think this is such a waste. I mean, literally, we would get lambasted for stuff today that is remedial. Like these publications wouldn't even waste their time posting this content because it's so base that like they wouldn't even think about it. Back then, we were getting hammered on. I mean, you got the same thing. You would stand up on stage and you would talk through like how to create a video, and I'd have these old fat white guys sitting in the middle. You know, no one can see me here, but they'd be like lean back in their chair, shaking their head.
This is real.
They'd raise their hand, going. You know, I mean, literally, this is what we would hear. I don't want my producers spending their time on this. And I'm like, look, bro, you don't have to do it. I'm sharing with you like what I did. Like, I'm not telling you that you have to do this. But they would like get so offended by it. And it was crazy. And now here we are, dude. You know, this is the crazy part. In 2 years, I've only done at Rogue Risk everything that I told all the motherfuckers that have been listening to me for a decade to do. That's all that I've done. In the last 28 days, we had 12,000 views on our YouTube channel, over 300 new leads produced just from that lead source alone. And we were acquired in 24 months of work, almost 24 months.
You were acquired?
So,
yeah. Hey, I know, but a lot of them didn't listen to the podcast you did with Matt, dude. They listened to this right here, man. So say those numbers one more time. 12,000.
So in the last 12 months, so Rogue Risk started March 9th of 2020, 7 days before the zombie apocalypse. And I had a slightly different game plan going into Rogue. And then, you know, when COVID hit and everything got locked down, like, so people who maybe don't know the story, I'll just give the 10-cent tour. I started Rogue March 9th of 2020. I launched it to be a digital middle market production shop. That was the original goal of the thing. We were gonna take middle market production and we were gonna digitize it and take that to the streets. Kind of very much like the David Carruthers Killing commercial. I mean, he was a huge. I mean, that was like the base. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of mash up what David teaches and what Mick Hunt teaches. Those are my two. You were all in that. And I love and all our buddies are in there and kind of think this way and whatever. And like that was my launch. That was my launch vector. And then I launch it. 7 days in, COVID hits, blows the entire plan up because now, you know, there's nothing. I don't know what to do. Like no one's picking up the phone. So the only thing that was still happening was small businesses who, you know, our bureaucratic overlords are trying to just dismantle and do away with. They still had to show up to work, right? Like they didn't have big corporate bailout budgets that could just like send all their people home. Like these people had to still show up. So they're still searching the internet for things like insurance because they still have to operate their businesses. And I said I wouldn't get political. I won't again.
I'll bring you back.
So I just went back. I just reverted back to my content marketing roots. I've produced 265 videos in 24 months. In the last 12 months, we've done over 100,000 views on the YouTube channel. And in the last month, we've done over 12,000 views. Yeah. So we're just growing. We're doing 400 plus views a day on the YouTube channel. And people can say, well, what does that lead to? Cass, 300 leads a month. 300 inbound leads. Now, that doesn't mean every lead is a good lead, right? So we have a process, and not every lead comes in, fits what we're trying to do today. And I can work you through what our process is. I'm happy to do that. But just YouTube, that's not even talking about the traffic we get to our website and social, other things we do. Just that YouTube channel, it makes it so you can't put me out of business. Like, you can't put me out of business. I have an asset that unless YouTube gets blown up, which is possible, but I obviously have all the videos and can morph and do all that, I find it hard to believe YouTube's going to blow up. But it's possible. But without that happening, you can't shut me down. I don't have to work. Like I don't have to prospect. People call me all day, every day, my team, but call every day, all day, fill out forms all day, every day, because we're educating them. We're giving them some information that no one else will give them. And they decide to contact us. And that game plan is what you and I have been teaching people since 2010.
And they'd say it can't only happen because you're in Albany. That doesn't happen in Main Street America, Hanley. That doesn't happen. That was what we heard, loyal listeners, 10 years ago.
Yeah. And here's the funny part. Albany's a little podunk town that has like 125,000 people in it. This isn't like a major metro, this isn't like metropolis here. Like this is like a tiny, like it's like the 7th largest city in New York State. It's
Right.
tiny. There's
And
nothing
the
here.
other thing is, you're not just staying in Albany, right? You're finding people all
No,
across
so
America.
So we write in the lower 48 states. We're licensed. I'm both personally licensed and the agency is licensed in the lower 48. Technically, we are in Hawaii and Alaska too, but we don't market or
Makes
do any
sense.
business there. And we have business in 39 states. We have producers and client success associates in all 4 time zones. We built we call it human optimized agency.
So
we
hold on.
use technology.
So when did it start though? Where this partnership is what I'm going to call it. You can use a different word that is formed here between you and SIAA. Like, what was it last August? When did it come about?
Well, no. So if everyone wants to hear like the full bake out of this, I did an episode for my show, which you can either find in the main feed for Agency Intelligence or
on yours,
or
Ryan Hanley
my
show.
Individual show, whichever feed you listen to. It doesn't matter. But it's on the Ryan Hanley show feed, and I did that with Matt Masiello. That would have come out yesterday or whenever. Just go back and you'll see it. Matt is the CEO. So it's a really interesting story. I've known Matt for a decade. Great guy. Different iterations of my life, I've run into him. I always appreciated his viewpoint. And we met. We had this meeting at a SIA Phoenix or Arizona event. They had booked me to speak in 2020. COVID happened, so we just kind of banked it. And I said, hey, whenever you have this event, just let me know and I'll come back. And that happened to be, I think either late September or early October of 2021. Okay. And Matt was there too, because he and a private equity group had just purchased out his dad and a few of the other owners of kind of the legacy version of SIA. And now he's doing this broad sweeping digitization and reworking contracts and bringing technology vendors and really reshaping the organization. It's pretty cool. So he's at this event. I'm at this event. He speaks, I speak, everything goes great. No problem. I don't think anything of it. Say hi to him. And then we saw each other in the bar after.
Where the real stuff happens.
Where the real stuff happens. Don't ever tell me that drinks after a conference aren't where business is done. So I was just sitting there waiting for I had a red eye home. So I was just sitting at the bar having a beer and dinner, and he sat down next to me and just said, "Hey, can I have a beer? Can I have a beer? Whatever." And obviously, what am I? You never say no to someone who wants to chat, unless
especially when they're a CEO.
He's not. Yeah, especially when a CEO. Yeah, when a CEO of a large company in your industry says, "Hey, can we have a beer together?" Or you say yes. Yeah. So I did, and we had a great chat. And it devolved into solving all of the insurance industry's problems. As all these conversations do. You and I have done this many times. And if we did this and we did that, and we had this great conversation. We kind of mapped out this thing. Just drunk. I don't want to say drunk talk, but we're having some cocktails and just talking and whatever. And we mapped out this thing where Rogue could be fit really nicely into the SIA ecosystem, the holding company ecosystem. And I whatever. Time for me to go, jumped on my plane, whatever. I kind of forgot about it because I've had 1,000 of those conversations and most of them don't go anywhere. Well, he emailed me the next week and said, "Hey, I was very intrigued by that idea. And would you be interested in having like a real conversation where we're just kind of mapping it out?" And I said, yes. And we had dozen conversations that just led into where it seemed to make a lot of sense. I was aligned with their vision. They were aligned with mine. I like their leader. I got to meet their leadership team. I got to meet a lot of, I got to spend some time with them and become really comfortable with what they're trying to do and their future and where we would fit in that future. And it just made sense to join. And they made an offer on the business, and I accepted. And as of this recording, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I can't remember now, we officially were acquired by SIA.
And congrats to that. And I want loyal listeners, if you want to know, you can go back to, as he said, the show that he did, Ryan Hanley Show, which is also, that is on this feed, or you can go to his personal feed and you can find it. And I want you to listen to that because I imagine, you talked a lot about the specifics and maybe some of the stuff and what's your game plan and how's it look going forward. And I think there's a lot that we can discuss that. But in this podcast specifically, I want to talk about you. And I want to talk about
Okay.
you and your journey to this, because I think that I'm one of the few people that could probably do this, just knowing your history. And you know, the thing is Hanley, you reached out to me February, March something, and you were like, Cass, I think this is getting ready to go down. And I'm thinking, holy shit, like this like shocked me. And it was such a big one. I wanted to tell everybody and I couldn't tell anybody. The only person I did tell was Travis, because he knows everything. And it's just like, it was really, really big, right? And it got me thinking, right? It got me thinking about where you were with the Murray Group. And it got me thinking about when you went with Consumer Agency Portal, which became Trusted Choice, and the shit you built there, right? And when I say shit, I'm not saying that as bad. You created some awesome stuff, good stuff. And then then you leave, you go to the Bold Penguin. I think that, to be honest with you, was a huge missed opportunity on their part, but we can talk about that at another time. And loyal listeners and Bold Penguin, if you're listening, I don't even know the backstory. I have no idea. Hanley, you and I never talked about that, like whatever happened there. But that doesn't matter. I'm just saying it was a missed opportunity, I think, because Bold Penguin is doing some unique things. And I really don't even know totally what they do. Actually, I don't even think anybody in America truly knows what Bold Penguin does. But that's neither here nor there. Then you now are over into the thing where you were the CEO of the fitness business.
Yeah.
And then the way that went, I know that story, but we'll move on. And then we will go to where you were with Rogue Risk and now where you are with SIAA. I see. Let me tell you too this way. A wise man came up to me one time and he said to me, I told everybody in my 20s I wanted to be the governor of Illinois. And my friends would say, Cass, pick another state. They all go to jail. They liked me. And so I said, okay, that's a good point. And he said to me something, this Senator Thompson. He said, Jason, I want you to know that true power is not being in front. The true power is being the number 2 man. And sometimes in unique situations, it's the number 3 person. And when I say man, got to eliminate that today. But it is that person. It's the number 2 man. The front man is usually just the speaker. And when you think about Obama, David Axelrod wrote that or ran that. When you think about George Bush, you think about Dick Cheney. Right?
Well, technically, the Illuminati ran all of it.
Correct.
But yeah.
So when you really think about that, okay, the Illuminati, we can say, ran it in today's fantasy. And when we think about it that way, guess what? They weren't number 1. That's my point. And I think that there is this illusion in our society that you must be number 1 of an organization to be considered successful. But yet history points that those who are successful at running businesses are not the one who necessarily make it successful. I could say that's true in my own agency. I can be all I want to be, but I'll be honest with you, agency intelligence is not anything without Sarah Nicholas, and the Insurance Alliance is nothing without Travis. Travis really runs it. I'm just the managing partner that's out front. And Travis is totally cool with that. He's totally cool with that. And so I'm throwing a lot of stuff out here, but I want the loyal listeners to understand that history.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
What are your thoughts on that? Have you thought about this?
Yeah, I have a lot actually. So, a consistent issue in my career, I think, is a mischaracterization. And I'll take as much blame as
this is a positive
this,
thing. I want to keep that in mind.
Yeah. A mischaracterization of my desires.
Ooh.
Now, a lot of people think because I'm loud and because I'm energetic and because I like to speak and share, they think that what I want is celebrity. People ask me, how do you become an insurance celebrity? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I try. Honestly, I don't. If I do have any celebrity, I don't yearn for it, nor desire it, nor try to cultivate it. If I did, my social would be different. I'd be more consistent with everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have, what I want is to do awesome things and empower people to be the best version of themselves. That's what gives me energy. The reason I speak is because I know that for as many fat old white guys in the back of the room shaking their head, acting like I'm full of shit. And, I get comments all the time. What have you done? What have you done? What have you accomplished? I get these stupid fucking comments. Well, hey, I don't actually care what you think. because you can think that about me. That's fine. I'm not here for you to
That's
like
right.
me. I'm here for the one person in that room who gets turned on. The finding Sydney Rowe stuffed away in a closet at Trusted Choice, being used for the wrong ways, for the wrong reasons, pulling her out, giving her a fucking camera and say, go to town, become everything you can be, and showing her how to do that. And like letting her, you know, I didn't create her. Like someone was like, oh yeah, this is who she was. She was just being kept down by old fat white guys. And I when I say old fat white guys, I mean old fat white guy mentality. You know what I mean? Not actual old fat white guys, because some of them aren't fat and some of them are women. So you know, it's more this mentality of we're gonna put you in your little box, right? So that's what drives me. I do the podcast because I'll get 23-year-old producers and 55-year-old producers and 70-year-old agency owners emailing me going, hey man, you know, that one thing you said there, shit, I just needed to hear that. That's why I don't want, I don't love being on the road. I don't need any fucking awards. I don't need to be the CEO of this company. I don't need that. There's no part of me feels validation by having founder and president in my fucking title. You know why I created Rogue Risk? Because too many motherfuckers out there were saying to me, what have you ever done? It doesn't work. You know, chirp, 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 chirp. And I said, you know what? F them. I'm going to build this thing and show them exactly how it works. And all these people who buy all these friggin' courses and talk about how lead acquisition is so hard. Yeah, it's hard. I spent $35,000 of my own money starting Rogue. That's it. And I now, 2 years later, have been acquired and generate 300 leads a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you can.
It's almost like glad COVID happened. Like you should really be thinking, like if that didn't happen, it could have steered you completely different, right? It really freaking could have. It's unbelievable.
I'm not. Yeah, it's hard for me to say I'm glad COVID happened, but because I would have done it, I would have done this regardless. But it did. I do think it created a tempest that I was able to capitalize on. It did.
Dude, I remember at the end of March, you were like, Cass, like, I just started this thing and I can't go in and talk to people. Like I'm screwed, man. Yeah. Like, and you can't even call because right now everybody's such in a freak out mode, right? Because at that point in time, no one knew anything. And so it's like, I remember that. I'm telling my team, I'm like, shit, could you imagine being that right now? Like we're getting referrals in because people know us, right? But they didn't. Good for you. And loyal listeners, to back up, I'm not saying I'm glad COVID happened. I had relatives that died because of it. That was maybe a poor choice of words.
I knew.
I think the loyal listeners do too. They listen to me. They know. But I think it's ironic that happened. How much that set things in motion. COVID happening.
But sorry, I just want to finish that thought. So my point in saying all that is, I've had a lot of friction with leaders, board members, stakeholders in different organizations. Trusted Choice. When I worked for Trusted Choice and built Agency Nation, I would get calls on a weekly basis from the national board of the Big I telling me that I can't say this, or I shouldn't say this, or how dare you mention IAOA in a podcast? Don't you know they're a competitor? And I'm like, if the Big I is actually as powerful as you pretend that it is, then why would IAOA bother you at all? 90% of the members of IAOA are Big I members. So like, but like, I think they thought what I was trying to do was subvert them. And that was never my point. You know what I mean? My goal was always just to make insurance fun and cool and like, give producers and just insurance professionals in general this sense that like, you're not in a boring industry. You're not a second-rate professional because you sell insurance. Like this is a noble career. And that's always been where I've wanted to go. And what has happened is this I think, and this is my communication thing that I'm trying to learn. And I'm going to try to do this much better job of this. And now in working with SIA is that I think the leaders of organizations always thought that I was coming for them or that I thought I was bigger than the business. And that was never the case. All I was trying to do was use my personality and my energy to grow the business.
That is very observation. That is a very good self-awareness right there. That is, Wow, 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 wow. That is very true. And I think they probably think the same way. I don't know if they put the same thought into it yet because they just don't sometimes about that. And to make insurance fun, loyal listeners, there was a person out there who doesn't deserve his name to be said who created an app. It was the Facebook review app. And it's a piece of crap and it's non-existent now. But that's how Hanley and I first got together. Is they had me
20. No, we first met. No, that's not true. The first time we met was actually in 2011 in San Francisco for the National Big Eyes Young Agent Conference. I spoke with Chris Jordan, who isn't in the industry anymore, but we talked about websites and building websites and their importance. And Illinois won National Big Eye Young Agent State of the Year, and you were their chairman, and that's where
I'm going to test you on it. It's 2009.
Yeah.
That was the last year we won Big Eye of Illinois. Yeah, okay. 2009.
So wow, 2009.
Had to be, scary. Yeah. It could have even been 2008, but I think it's 2009. That's right. And then the Big Eye found, I became national chair, and then because of what Hanley was doing, they said, hey, Hanley, you try out this app. Cass, you try out this app, and let's see how it works.
And then that's when we really started to get to know each other. Yeah, that was like 2011.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And then it was.
Yeah. Oh, that's wild. 2009, huh? Oh my gosh.
And how we can prove it is you were right, San Francisco, and I think I could go back and check that out. It was 2008 or 2009 for the Big Eye Young Agents. I have to say that, Young Agents. And that was awesome. That was a great time. And it's okay. Great self-awareness here. I really, really, truly love that. So now that you know that, hey, they realize we're on equal footing. They realize I'm not here to take them over. I realize now I have some great resources with SIA's resources and the genius of Matt Masiello. And I have to say, I believe that he's night and day from his father. And that's no disrespect to his father. What I'm saying is they're night and day in their philosophy. And really, it's nothing more than his dad provided this great platform. And not his dad and his team created this great platform that now he's able to maximize, which I think is amazing. I used to be SIAA. I'm not anymore, and no one's ever heard me cuss them or anything like that. I think aggregators have also changed, and I look forward to that being a part of what you're doing. So where are you going forward?
Yeah, I think so. I know people have mixed emotions on aggregators, networks, whatever you want to call them. And in particular, SIA, they're the biggest. They've been around, I don't know if they've been around the longest, but they're one of the biggest and been around the longest. I got to figure out
84. I think they started in like 1984 up in Vermont or something.
I know people have had bad experiences, and people, some people who found out have reached out to me and different stuff. And I'm like, look, like part of it is, I know that there are people that have had tremendous success. I know there are people that have bad experience. That's going to be the case no matter what. I know that, but what I can't do anything about that. What I can do and what I have done is I believe that moving forward, the future of where the organization is going aligns philosophically with where we're trying to go from Rogue. And people can check this out and learn more about the language and stuff. But, this is if you go to join.roguerisk.com, if you just want to check this out, join.roguerisk.com, people can check it out. But one of the things that I wrote down, so I write a lot of shit down. I have notebooks all over. I have one literally right off my left hand. If Cass says something, I'll write it down. If I say something that I don't want to forget, I'll write it down. Because, you talk. You don't always know what's going to come out of your face. Right. And so... But I have all these notebooks, right? And one of the things that I wrote down way back when I was putting Rogue together, and has been something that I've banged on a drum about for a long time, and so have you, and so have others. But, so I don't want to act like this is my original idea, but I do think, I've always wanted to provide insurance professionals with a no-ceiling insurance career. And what I mean by that is I think the fascist dictatorship that most people, how most people run their agency is perfectly fine because they took the risk and it's their world, right? Like, so John Smith owns the agency, and if your name ain't Smith, you ain't in the club, and, pat you on the head and, hey, produce more business. But, oh, you want some equity? piss off. You know what I mean? You don't deserve it. You're only 47 years old. You haven't earned your right to own an agency. You know what I mean? Like this stupid fucking shit that people talk about. And what happens is producers get disenfranchised. They plateau. They become stagnant. They stop learning. They stop growing. And it's when they start to have that frustration and when, you know, negativity enters. And what I've always said to myself is there needs to be a way to create a career path for a producer who could, if we were going to go full spectrum, come in at 22, 23, unlicensed, right? Have a role in the agency to learn the business while getting licensed. Once licensed, can come in and actually sell, right? Once they start selling and validate, we teach them how to hunt. And I want to go into this a little more detail because I'm really interested in your idea. Once we teach them how to hunt, we give them a path. So basically how this works in Rogue, this is what we've always wanted to do, and now with SIA it becomes possible. That's really a big part of this was, you know, we're going to be the incubator, the minor league club for SIA. So what does that mean? So Cass, you're 22 years old, you graduate from college, you're thinking about a career or not, right. You know, whatever. You come out of community college, you're like, I want a career. I'm smart. I can talk, whatever. Oh, but you're unlicensed. No problem. You come into Rogue as what we call a new business coordinator. New business coordinators basically validate our leads from leads to suspects. Right? So a lead is anyone who's shown interest in our business.
Gotcha.
A suspect is a lead who fits geographically, industry, carrier-wise, someone who we want to do business with. So if they're in a geographic market, in an industry that we want to write, and we have a carrier that can write that business, they become a suspect. Okay. So our new business coordinator position, all they do all day is call people, work them through a questionnaire, and move people from leads to suspects. Gotcha. Okay. And what you're doing is you're talking to people, you're learning coverages, you're getting questions. You can't, you know, you're unlicensed, you can't talk policies or anything. You're basically just helping that customer get to the right producer in our agency. Okay. So that's number one. Okay. When you do that for a long enough time, you validate in that position, you move to our Select program. Select is inbound leads. These are like a lot of the YouTube leads and stuff that we get. 25,000 in premium or under, and you're going to get 1,000 at bats. This is single A ball. We're just going to put you up to bat over and over and over again. You're going to get call after call. You're going to fuck a lot of those calls up. Not that I want you to mess them up, but it is a safe environment to make mistakes in selling, in very language, important. In follow-up, where because we have so many coming in and we can track it because we're on HubSpot and we have our HubSpot reporting and I don't want to say like I'm like Chris Green or David Crothers dialed in on HubSpot yet, but we're getting there. But I can track how many calls you made, how many texts you made, how many emails you made. I can go back and listen to those calls if I need. So now you're working this Select process and you're just taking all these calls and I can see who the people are that want to sell, right? And because I'm watching the leads come in, I'm watching them become suspects. And as a Select producer, you're taking them from suspect to prospect to customer. That's your role. Okay. So when you validate there, you now get the opportunity, if you so desire, to move into Premier. Premier is what you do, Cass. It's digital middle market production. We teach you how to be a hunter. Now you can hunt in a geographic area. You can hunt a vertical. Right now it's state-based and vertical-based. That's how we do it. So we're not doing it like 20 miles from your location. We're basically you work a state. And so when you go into Premier, you're now a hunter. We're helping you, we teach you how to find prospects, how to find information about those prospects. We build long-term drip campaigns in those verticals, in those geographic regions. We help you do video market outreach, cold call outreach. If it is somebody local, helping you do drops and stuff like that. You're a middle market digital producer. That's what we teach you how to do. When you validate there, right, which is going to take longer. That might take 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years even. You get one of 3 options. You can either keep doing that because you love working out of your house and you're crushing and making money and life is good. You can keep doing that. You can start a Rogue franchise location. Now, by franchise, not an actual franchise, but it's more of we'll call it a joint venture location. Michael Blake would call it an HVO, a highly visible office, a low cost office front to give you a geographical footprint that you own some equity in, but ultimately you're still using our back-end systems, you're still using our back-end support. It's really just a production office, but it gives you that physical footprint that you need to write in a local area. Okay, that's option 2. Option 3 is you quote unquote buy your book out and launch your own agency into the market as part of the SI network. So you're still capturing all the contracts. You don't have to go out and get your own contracts. You still have those. You don't have to, you're getting all the revenue splits, all the revenue upside that comes with the channel, and you have access to all the technology that you use so far. You keep that technology and run your agency off that technology so we can aggregate the data and help on the back end.
It's a seamless process.
So it is a step-by-step process to the point where, Cass, if you came in at 22 and your goal was to own 10 locations someday in Illinois and Indiana and Kentucky and Tennessee and whatever you wanted to own that region, a whole bunch of locations, there is nothing that I am going to do to stop you from doing that. Just because my name is Hanley and your name is Cass, you have the right to do that. You know what I mean? Just because you're in Illinois and I'm over here, just because you like to write a different vertical than me, just because, you know what I mean? Like, there is nothing stopping you from taking your insurance career as far as you possibly want to go. And at all points in that journey, we have support structures, tools, and training set up to help you get
I
there.
imagine that. Now, I imagine if I was 22 and I wanted to go to SIA and get some contracts, you're telling me that I've noticed this with a lot of aggregators. Their advertising is changing to those who already have a book of business. If you roll your thing in, you can make more. And so did they find out that, hey, when everybody wants to go to an aggregator because they want the markets, but you're saying
they didn't have a down market option.
You're saying
they didn't
get the markets, and then not only that, they don't really know how to sell. No one ever taught them.
They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to service. Leads. They don't have the right systems. They got to pay all this money.
Suspects, prospects. They don't know that stuff.
They don't know any. They don't. Right.
And so hey, good vision. I like this.
So now, look, you could be in an agency right now. So look, you don't have to come in at 22.
Right. Okay. You could
be 45, working in an agency with a small book of business that you're trying to grow, and you just are, like, let's say Mitch, the owner of Mitch Gibson's agency, doesn't make the smart decision that he did in dialing in Mitch and played that hard role, and Mitch gets frustrated and he's like, shit, what am I supposed to do? Like, this sucks. I'm whatever. Now, his agency owner made a great decision. I'm very happy for Mitch, and it's awesome. But, like, let's say that didn't happen. Let's say it went the other way. Well, now Mitch is what, 29, 30 years old, 27, whatever the hell he is. So now here's an experienced guy. He wouldn't come in as a new business coordinator. We're actually working to develop a test. I don't know what the right way to put it is, that can help slot you in where you are in your career and where we can fit you in. So someone like Mitch, who's done some middle market production, who maybe is super new, maybe we put him on just 6 months of the Select program to get him up to speed on our systems. Right? Just the systems and the terminology that we use, just bang, bang, bang. And then we move him into Premiere. Or maybe he would come and go right into Premiere because he already knows how to hunt and he just needs the training, support, and tools to get there. And he would come in. So basically, if you're frustrated in your career or you're looking for an avenue to launch your agency successfully, right? So no one wants to launch an agency at zero. I did it. It blows. You know what comes with that? Your relationships are going to suffer. Your health is going to suffer. Account. You're going to drink. You're going to be depressed. You're going to, all this stuff is going to be terrible. And because when you have nothing, every agency owner today who's been in business for 10 years has forgotten what it's like to be at zero. Being at zero with no referrals, no traffic, no nothing, it sucks. And if we can help producers and just people who are interested in this launch with a book successfully, launch them into that next phase, that to me is what I call a no ceiling career. And it's what I am the most excited about with this partnership with SIA is that I now get to execute that vision, Cass. It would have taken me 10 years to get here on my own. And I've now just skipped the line, to steal a term from James Altucher, and now have the ability that in the next 6 to 12 months, I'll have this program up and fully running. And that, to me, to be able to give the industry and the producers that I love and the client success people that I just love and care about so much in this industry, to give them a path if they desire to go as far as they possibly can without any, obviously you have to produce and that kind of stuff. It's not like we're just going to hand it to you. You have to be, you have to have the ability, skills, and dedication to do it. But if you do, there is nothing stopping you from going as far as you want. And that, to me, is what gets me jacked up.
Well, and I like it because, and I applaud SIAA, my love-hate relationship with them and any aggregator. I do applaud them, though, for what they're doing here because here's what I think about this, Hanley, is that so many of them want to provide markets, but I've never heard one producer ever come to me and say, where I learned how to sell really good is when I got with any aggregator, Iroquois, SI, whoever it could be. And you know what? Their sales process really taught me how to excel. It was always, and I got to give it to it. I know a bunch of master agencies that out there that tried to create other value other than just providing markets. And I think they dropped the ball huge. And I applaud Matt and I applaud you for saying, how do we fix this? Because there's got to be a way. This supports independent insurance agents. That's why I like it. Here's some markets, but here's an actual systematic way to get better and to learn step by step, which I think a lot of people want. But here's the deal. Cass is 23, starts his agency at 28. He's saying, when do I get to own this thing, right? You're solving that. You're saying, hey, on day one, we're going to show you the path, and it's going to be up to you how hard you want to work to where you're going to be. And in the meantime, you're not going to have to go out there and sweat it. Remember what you always said, my buddy Ryan Hanley always says, rubber sole shoes on the concrete. Really what this is your index fingers on the keyboard, right? And using your brain and your skills as people come to you. So I really, truly do love it. Here's one thing I also heard people used to make fun of us, Hanley. They would say in the future, you will not prospect. The prospects will find you. And when we would say that, they'd be like, what the hell does that mean? So you're telling me?
Not my customers. Not in my town.
Not in my town. Not in my cut. Yeah, that's exactly right. So once again, and there's something I want you guys, loyal listeners, to take away from this. All you out there who are young. And when I talk about, now I sound old, not only just new to the business, but also young to the agency as well, right? That's what they used to always say. But I want you to remember what Hanley and I went through, because there's a lot of you that are trying to push the envelope right now. You really, truly are. And you're being told that you're silly or you're stupid. And you're probably maybe even being told that by me. Or you're being told by Hanley, like, oh, that won't work. Because now we're skinny white guys. We're not the fat ones. But now we're sitting there telling this, that is now something that if you're getting that pushback, you should remember that. Hanley, I love what you wrote here. It's going to be the name of the episode. Being at zero sucks. We can help that. Right? I like that. Yeah, and it really does. We have forgot about that as agents.
Yeah, it's I think going through this process at 39, 40 years old versus when I was in my 20s, I hope what I never lose is the perspective of the pain, the anxiety, the sheer depression. I mean, I've talked about it on my own show before in different updates about how depressed I was. I mean, I was legit depressed in like late March, April. I had put, like I said, I started with 35,000 in. That was basically all the cash that I had into this agency. I had this whole plan that I had worked months building up to. I had killed myself to get appointments and leveraged every relationship and, felt I was all in. You know what I mean? Like I was all in. I'm sitting in my basement. I'm not making any money. You know what I mean? My wife at the time hates me for this, because whatever. And I was like, I have to do this. And I think we forget. And I I guess all I'm saying is if you are an agency owner out there or a producer who's been around for a while and you do meet someone who has some wild ideas but is very, very new or started at zero, please give them a little bit of grace because they are most likely struggling emotionally, even if you don't see it on the outside. I guess fortunately / unfortunately an expressive. That's what my counselor calls me. And I don't have any ability I have no ability to hide my emotions. I just don't, right? I just don't have it. It is not whatever that function is that some people have. They can be like stoic and like, have a tornado going on inside and they can stand. I don't fucking have that thing. I just don't. whatever that governor is, that just wasn't included in
your
the production
process.
of
That's right. Your production.
Yeah. So my point in saying that is just have a little grace. I am going to try to do that as well, because sometimes people will be a little angry, or they'll be a little aggressive in maybe a Facebook group or in a conversation or at a conference. And I think, some people are just assholes, but I think a lot of times it's just the stress and the anxiety of what we do. And when you hit a certain level, the beauty of our business is you do get your life back. You do get to build a lifestyle but if you're not there yet, this is an incredibly stressful, emotional business. And, I'm hoping, I guess what I'm hoping through Rogue is if we can help launch agencies that maybe don't have to deal with that because they've done some time in our, whether it's starting as a new business coordinator or select or premier or whatever. And then we're launching these agencies out with a base, with some revenue, with some experience, with some flow, with the ability to get referrals, with some training, knowledge, tools. And now they can maybe hit the ground running and be that agency they want to be without all the anxiety and crazy. I mean, it's always going to be there, but maybe less, you know what I mean? That to me is an enormous win for our industry. I think I think we can help pump out more quality, caring, value-driven professionals, because that's really our mantra, our no customer left behind mantra. And man, I had a moment in December where I was thinking about this deal with SIA, right? Because I'm a guy, I got an ego, you know what I mean? Like, Rogue was mine. I could do anything I want. I could say anything I want. And I had this moment, it probably was later than December. It was probably January or February, where I just was like, do I want to do this? Because I'm giving up ultimate control of this business, right? I'm no longer in ultimate control. I am the day-to-day leader. I do still own a portion of Rogue. I am, still an agency owner and all that, whatever that matters. I mean, I shouldn't, but it does. But there's a moment, we've talked about it, right? Because you've had some internal conversations around selling and multiples, and I think it's completely natural, and we all should. But I had this moment, dude, and I was like, should I do this? And I just said to myself, if the mission is what's most important to me, right? The money's going to be there. Money will always, if you add value, you'll be able to make money. And I'm not a greedy guy by nature, so I don't need to maximize every friggin' dollar. I don't care about that. If the mission is what's important, then this deal is the absolute right decision. If my ego and ownership and, Rogue is, whatever, if that's the most important, then it's not the right deal. And I ultimately chose the mission because I did not see, nor do I see, another path that would allow me to deliver what I've always wanted to deliver to our industry without making this happen. And I just, I hope that we can be at least, if we can even be 85, 90% of what I just described, I think we could be an incredible value creator for our space. And I'm just excited to be on this path.
Well, we are as well. And I mean, seriously. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. How long
have you been waiting to tee that up?
I actually just remembered it because they've got this little thing over here, and I never knew they had it till like 4 or 5 podcasts ago. But anyways, dude, hey, I greatly appreciate that, and you can hear it coming from you. And we were, I don't think we realized. I know the dates because it was February 27th and February 28th of 2000. Which was right before you were getting ready to launch Rogue Risk. We're in the back of a car going from an airport to the Dallas-Fort Worth Love Field. And if you really think about it, 2 big conversations. One of the things that you said to me, and you emphasized this a year later in a lot more detail, that it would be cool to have an agency where there was agencies and they were all over the place, right? Having Rogue Risk agencies. Now, you didn't specifically say that till a year ago, but you were marching on this conversation. It was a long drive. At that same time, I was talking about putting together a podcast network, right? Because I saw the fact that you and I had a power together, and together we could do more, right? 10 years later. And what a powerful drive that was. Maybe we'll have to thank Billy because like he got this airport, this freaking hotel that was 45 minutes away, it seemed. And we had to drive in the back of that Uber and we had that conversation.
Well, you also decided to get an Airbnb that was that far away from the place versus the hotel, which was right next to the
It's really hard to
facility.
find a freaking hotel. I'm a cheap ass and I love Airbnbs when it goes to those things, man.
I will say, here's the other fun thing about that. That's where we both met Mick Hunt.
That is the place we met. Yes.
Yeah.
We sat in the back corner, me and you, and he came back there and joined us.
So the story with Mick, and I love Mick to death. I think he is just an all-time guy, and he's become a very dear friend in the last 2 years. And but I met him at the Billy Williams event, and it was funny. So Cass and I post up in the second to last row in the back corner. And, too cool for school, whatever, we're chit-chatting. And, and Billy's doing his thing, and Billy's the best. If anyone ever has a chance to go to one of Billy's live events, I highly encourage. It was unbelievable. It was worth the trip.
Twice.
It was worth the money. It was worth. Yeah, it's awesome. And to be honest with you, on my roadmap is to send a few of my people to that event at some point, whenever I can. So it doesn't matter. I just want to give a shout out to Billy. So we're sitting back there. And Billy asks a question, and this guy raises his hand and gives his answer, and I was like, it's a pretty solid answer. Okay, whatever. So then time goes by, an hour, whatever. Billy asks another question, the guy raises his hand, shouts out an answer. I'm like, fuck, I'm turning around and I go, who are you? How do I not know you? Like, the way you're talking, I thought I knew everyone who thought the way that you're thinking. And he goes, he introduced himself. And I said, well, so then we end up getting lunch. And then it's, the rest is history. I mean, Mick is an enormous
He showed me
part.
Insurance X date then. Which means I could see all the premiums of all of the work comp carriers in Illinois. And I mean, I love that thing. No, he was fantastic. And to be honest with you, it was that conversation actually that helped put him on the map. And I only want to say that not because of me and you, but I went back and talked a lot about him. You went back. And before then, we had never heard of this guy. And that doesn't mean that he is where he is because of you and I. Please, loyal listeners, if you know Mick is incredible, and it only takes you being on the phone with him for 30 minutes to realize, whoa, this guy's smart. I've been to a couple conferences in the last couple months with him, and he amazes me every time. Hey, Hanley, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your vision, man. I appreciate the fact that you are trying to put yourself in that power position once again to say, I can make some change here. I have to say you do have big shoes to fill in the fact that one of your greatest achievements up today was Agency Nation. One of the greatest things. I know that's your baby, and I won't beat it up because, man, that was a good thing. You really built something there. I remember when I first saw Agency Nation, I always thought of like, what was it? Sorry. Well, Hanley's cussing. I'll cuss this time too. It was something Nation. Cardinal Nation or Big Blue Nation or something, that crap we hear. Yeah. And when you came out with Agency Nation, I was like, oh shit, that is.
Dude, shout out to Derek Hyde, who is now the CTO of the Milwaukee Brewers. He was the CTO of TrustedChoice.com at the time. We were drunk as a skunk, so again, solving world problems in the bar. And I said, we have no way to speak to the industry as TrustedChoice.com because TrustedChoice.com is a consumer-facing brand. So we have no way to speak to the industry. And he looks at me and he goes, well, I bought this URL, agencynation.com. I was like, you mother. We pounded our drinks. 12 o'clock at night, we're back in the TrustedChoice.com headquarters. And that's how it started. Really? And that was Agency Nation, the videos that we did, the conferences, the way that evolved.
The team you built.
I will remember that time incredibly fondly. It is a shame that we never got to fully execute our vision for a whole bunch of reasons. Some of those reasons are my fault. Right. I don't want to act like anyone – there are multiple parties to blame, one of which and primary is most likely myself. And I don't want to say that. What I'm saying is I want to tie that to today. Because that was where you really had a passion like you do right now. And I'm really excited to see that. So if you guys thought Agency Nation was cool, just give me 3 or 4 years and wait till you see what we do with Rogue Risk. Like I'm fucking on fire right
No
now.
one is more excited, and no one will support you more than me. Well, actually, Matt Masiello will, because he needs you to be successful.
Cass, you are the
Yep.
man. You have been the through thread for these conversations. My career has gone in a million different directions, and you keep pulling me back. I want everyone to know that, they probably do, but just how genuine and sincere our friendship is, and how much I care for you and everything you've done, and it is not lost on me that I tend to be this kind of out of control, swinging back and forth thing, and you have been right down the center, kind of pushing these narratives, pushing these conversations. You've launched how many different people into the space, different thought leaders, Mitch, James Jenkins, you've been the facilitator of so many of these people, and it shouldn't be lost, and it certainly should be commended. Just your contribution. And I hope that someday, I know that it's nothing that you need personally, but I hope that someday the industry as the whole is able to show some sort of gratitude for what you've done. And, all the establishments,
people don't get to be me. No, I'm being serious
right
here, because people don't get to be me, and they don't realize that when I walk out my front door, there's people out there who are, they're unbelievable. And I'm like, are you guys here every?
That was like an emotional.
Are you guys
moment.
here?
That was like an emotional.
Are you guys here every day? But the thing is, I do appreciate that. No, I really, truly do. And the funny thing is that people don't get to see you and I's chat, because they think that you and I are just like hunky-dory, everybody's in love shit, right? They have no idea that you think that I'm a in-the-closet Democrat, and I think that you're an absolute...
You're an
closet
Democrat.
Right-handed. You are a right-sided radical now, and I don't know what happened to you. I don't know what happened.
That's
I don't
not
know
true.
what happened. I don't know what happened.
I'm an American. So I believe in the Constitution.
I never said that I don't. I
radical.
just don't believe that the Illuminati is really in existence, and I think
you don't believe that globalists exist.
So now all of a sudden I'm the weirdo.
Crazy shit be happening. You also don't like Elon Musk or Joe Rogan.
That's not true.
That's
I say they're loudmouths.
That is true.
They're
that is true.
That's what I say. They're loudmouths. And then what do you always say? What do you always say to me? Cash, you're the biggest loudmouth that's out there. And I can't say that's wrong. So anyways, what's funny, loyal listeners, is that's really the conversation that him and I have on the side.
He is a Democrat in Republicans' clothing. Do not even front. Something happened to you, and you've become this left-leaning lib. Crazy.
Something happened to the Republican Party in 2016. That's what happened.
Republicans are assholes. I'm not a Republican either. I'm an American. I believe in, without going full pro-libertarian craziness, like that nice slightly right of center with a skew towards left on social issues for sure, because some of the shit that people get bananas about in the Republican Party with social issues is crazy. Right. If two men or two women want to get fucking married, there's absolutely no reason that they should. I don't recommend getting married, but if they do, then they should be able to do that. That's crazy shit. But like that slightly right of center, a little more pro freedom, a little more pro, I feel like the founding fathers, while not perfect, got that document pretty close.
Think it's great.
And if we could just move slightly back to that document, I'm not saying all the way because it's imperfect, then I think we would have a more understanding culture. But instead, you want to believe that Elon Musk is the Antichrist.
No, I do not believe that.
And that wind power is the future of our country, which is a fucking joke.
We've never talked about wind power, loyal listeners. I'm telling you right now. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is this world these fantasy guys live in. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Hanley, thank you very much, man. I love you to death, man. Hey, all you loyal listeners, you know what I do because I do it for you. Today, I gave you a real agent inside a real agency, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass. He's Hanley. We be gone.